Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Life Project with Ifiansa. My name is Ifiansa. I am a project manager and an interior designer. I film about art, culture, and design. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a kitchen project that I'm doing for a retirement home out of Accra. It's a beautiful brick house and it's in Mampong. It's amazing. I hope you like what I show you and just taking you through the steps that I took to be able to basically just the steps from initiation through to the completion of the kitchen or the installation of the kitchen. Yeah, keep watching guys. Okay, so on this project, the way we started, because the project was out of town, the client started off by sending me a floor plan, which was sent by her architect. Okay, so she sent me the floor plan. At this point, the building was already up and she just needed the interiors done. So based on the floor plan and videos that the client sent me, I was able to put some designs together. So I designed a model to show what the interiors could look like. Now, one of the major things that we were trying to execute, or one of the major issues that the client had with this project that I was trying to solve, was that the space was a bit too dark. And when I visited the space, I realized that it was mainly because of the flooring that was used. I think I'll talk about things like that in another video. But the type of flooring and the color of the floor was really the main reason the space was dark. You know, that's in combination with the brick, you know, so they tried to sort of make things a bit lighter by adding in some white trimming, which really helped. But I thought also making sure that some of the furniture and finishes and curtains and things like that were white or much lighter colors. And then we used a lot of carpets and rugs to sort of break the flooring a bit. You know, it would cost too much to now go back and re-tile the whole place and all of that, considering that they had literally just completed the space and they wanted to move in soon. You know, so once again, these are some of the reasons why I always talk about, you know, bringing an interior designer in at a very early stage so that you don't make some of these mistakes, because now it will cost a lot more, you know, to try and quote unquote correct some of these things. You know, like I always say too, an interior designer would help you figure out how to manage the situation if you don't want to have to replace everything. So for this particular project, at the moment, we are not replacing the flooring, but we are working around it. And so far, it's not looking bad. I'll show you what I did to be able to sort of resolve this issue. Okay, now this is the space where the kitchen will be going. Now I started off with a floor plan. Honestly, I work in 3D better, so I always start with a 3D model in my head, put that in, and then I draw a floor plan from the 3D model. So here you can see the living room, family area, and then kitchen, dining, and a bar area that was in one space. And the living area had sort of like a piano area, so I separated both, and you know, I used a rug to kind of define both spaces, if you can see that. So this was me working on the 3D model. So I do this in Google Sketchup. It takes quite a while. I know some people prefer to work from floor plan to 3D, but because most clients understand things better visually, I typically would do a 3D model like this. This is a schematic drawing. Now, usually after this, you can have it looking much more realistic. I've done a video on that, where the difference between like a model and a rendering. You know, this is technically still a rendering, but after doing a model, you can still render so it looks realistic. So sometimes you see a building or a picture of a building and it looks like it actually exists somewhere, but it's a rendered drawing. Okay, so this is that first step before you render it. Now, sometimes depending on how small the project is or the budget of the project, I may not render. But if the client does request for it, I will render the drawing. So for this one, we used the model and I think it worked fine for the project, especially because we didn't have too much time. Okay, so this is me putting in the windows and the trimming to be able to add some lightness and break the brick a bit. The brick is really, really beautiful. I was so in love with this when I saw it, but I did understand where the client was coming from when they talked about the space being a bit dark, So just breaking it with a bit of white and then throwing in some really lovely white curtains with a lot of folds, sort of helps to break the brick a bit. And so doing the curtains, the windows, and then also the rugs helps break the darkness both vertically and horizontally. Yeah, so that's how I started. And after that, I presented the design to the client. The client was happy with it, but still had some more questions. So the clients flew the architect and myself to the site for, an in-person meeting, if I could call it that. So it was actually a very interesting trip. I enjoyed going to Mampong. We flew to Kumasi from Accra and then drove from Accra to Mampong. Yeah, where we were able to finally see the sites. Now, this is the kitchen. The kitchen initially had an island, but the clients didn't want too many things in the space. And so after the in-person meeting, a lot of things made more sense, and I was able to revise the drawings, and I always say that once you're in the space, you see things a bit differently, or at least from a better perspective. But I still like to do the drawings before I go sometimes, depending on the distance, just so that we can get a better idea of the client's interests or ideas. Most clients, sometimes you have clients who say, "Oh, I don't have anything, I don't have any ideas, I don't know what I want, just do something for me." But the moment you do something for them, then they know what they don't like. So everybody has an inner designer. I always say that everyone has an inner designer, and art is also subjective. So someone may see this brick building and think, "Oh, what is this?" Someone else may see it and may just fall in love with it. So art is really, really subjective, and I take feedback well. So usually when I do a first design and the client doesn't like it, I don't take it badly. I just understand, okay, let's understand what we are trying to achieve and then see how we can achieve it. So sometimes it may take a couple of revisions before you get that perfect design that the client is looking for. Now, after we finished the whole design and everything, then we decided to break it up in phases, because sometimes you can't just do a whole project at once, So we decided to start with the kitchen because the client was ready to move in. The bedrooms and things had already been done. There is already some furniture there, so the space is livable, So we decided that, okay, for the design aspect, let's break it into phases and then start the installations and set up that way. So the kitchen was the first thing that we did. So this was the final design that we had. The client agreed to this, and then I put some dimensions on this, and then I sent it to a couple of vendors. There's a team I typically work with. I didn't send it to just them. I sent it to them as well as a number of vendors, just to be able to compare prices. And I will tell you, I was surprised at how expensive things have become these days. A kitchen didn't used to be that expensive. It's not that expensive. Let me not scare anybody. But the truth is, things have become quite expensive in Ghana, so there were lots of considerations that we had to make and all of that. Luckily, the clients didn't want a very big kitchen anyway. They already had another kitchen in the outhouse, which is like the main kitchen. So what I did with my team was that they did all the cutting and everything in Accra, and then packed them and then installed them in Mampong when they arrived. Now, please ignore the quality of this video. I know it's not the best. I was unable to do these videos myself, so because this took a couple of days. So please pardon the quality of the videos. Now, so yeah, the my team went on site with the pieces that they had already cut. As I said, I sent them the design ahead of time. We discussed it. I always work with the team, whoever it is that's going to do the installation. I always say that you may think you know it because you are a designer or because you went to school for it, but the team or the people who usually do the actual installations, they've worked with so many different materials, they've worked in so many different spaces, and they've worked a lot in this environment that we are in Ghana, So I always like to listen and meet them halfway, I'll explain something about how the wood works. So sometimes, let's say I'll design a kitchen and maybe most of the units are 600 wide, and the carpenter would tell me, okay, because of the size of the kitchen, can we make one of them maybe 300 or one of them 400, just so that instead of buying 3 pieces of wood, we buy 2? Because if you use, let's say, 2.5 or 2 and 1/3 of the wood, you still have to buy 3 pieces of wood. And sometimes it makes the estimate a bit higher than it needs to be, because you still have to buy that wood, even if you're only going to use a little bit of it. So sometimes I adjust the design like that to be able to manage the costs. And I would only have known this. The only reason I know this is because I work closely with the artisans that are working on the projects, So just have an open mind and understand how they do things and how they work, so that it also helps you be able to do the best for your clients and the best for yourself. Now, this was the final kitchen that we had. I absolutely loved it. The client was so in love with it. She kept saying it has transformed the space so much. Initially, she wasn't sure how she felt about white cabinets and a gray countertop. But by the time we were done, she was so happy. It accommodated everything. And there are a couple of things that we will add. We'll add a glass case where they can put their glassware and stuff. And I still want to put some shelves in that space next to the microwave, so we'll see if we can do that. I would have loved to decorate this, put some potted plants and stuff before the video, but like I said, it's quite a distance, so some of these things you don't have the luxury of doing some of these things when the project is so far away. But this was an amazing these were amazing clients to work with, very open-minded, and just really understood why I was doing certain things and gave me the room to be creative. Now, this is the bigger plan. This is actually a lighting plan that I shared with the clients, and the purpose of this was to be able to zone where the lights would be. So that's one of the next things that we'll be doing. If you recall from the construction videos, where we place the lights in the flow and where the lights are going to go, like the switches and the outlets and all of that, usually your architect would provide that with your working drawings, But if you don't already have your interior design plan, sometimes you can't tell ahead of time where you want to place some of these things, And in this case, the interior design was done at the end. So that means that we sort of have to go back and try and incorporate some of these things, So zoning the lights, that if you have, let's say, a kitchen, let me just use that as an example, and you want to have lights where your cabinets are, that's one set of lights. And then you have an island, let's say, and you want to have pendant lights, that's another set of lights. Now you want to have different switches for these, so that you don't put one switch on and then all your lights in the kitchen go on, So that's what we call zoning. And that's what I'm trying to achieve here. So it means that we may have to use some POP since the electrical works have been done already. But at least if you have even one point and you do some POP, you can actually spread the wiring a bit and then have multiple lights in one space. I hope that makes some sense. I'll do a detailed video once we get to that stage. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I enjoy sharing some of these things, so do let me know the specifics that you would like to see, and I will continue to share. Like I said, please pardon the quality of this video. I will do better next time. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you have not liked, please hit the like button. I appreciate it so much when I see that. I love seeing your comments, so please keep the comments coming, questions, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Thank you, guys. Bye.